You want somebody who takes care of your shipments the same way as if they're part of your company.
Or maybe if I don't know where my shipment is and I have to ask the chatbot, that's why it's so, so who am I actually talking to, right?
So you should not talk to a chatbot. A lot of customers are actually open to even pay more than they would be paying today.
Like added value service.
Exactly,
right?
like the higher the quality of the service provided, people are willing to pay for it, which makes sense. Yeah, basically see it as an extended arm of your logistics department.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's podcast. I'm very pleased to be joined by Jan Harnisch, CEO of Rhenus Air Ocean, member of the board of the Rhenus Group, as we discuss how SMEs are shaping the future of global trade and how businesses can expect from logistic partners in today's fast-changing environment. Hello Jan, welcome. It's great to have you here with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So today we'll discuss on how logistics continues to shape global businesses. For many years, international trade for air and ocean mostly associated with large multinational and high-volume shippers, right? But today, I think it's changing.
Yeah.
Smaller and medium-sized companies seems to become more international, also more ambitious, and more connected to global supply chain. So, to start this conversation, why do you believe SMEs are becoming such an important driver for global trade today?
I would first say that, the SMEs in general have always been the backbone of the economies of our world. Over 90% of all businesses today are SMEs. I think the thing that changed was the way that SMEs are now enabled to engage in global trade. Partially because they have to, because sourcing has become a lot more global over the last 50 years, but also because it helps them to explore completely new markets. So
True.
Nowadays you can be a small company and have your head office in Germany and employ a bunch of people only, but you can sell things all over across the world, in the US, in Asia, and so on. I think this is something that trade transparency really helped a lot, and the modernization of global supply chains enables now even smaller companies to be a lot more active in international trade.
Maybe let's use my reference of my company for this conversation. Let's say if I'm a cosmetic owner shipping from Korea, and wanted to sell my shipment in Europe. That's just like a reference for now. For example, large logistics provider like you often overlook SME like me. What makes their needs different?
I think nowadays there is no big difference anymore. I think for us it's important that we see each customer equally. If you look into the larger accounts, of course, they're a lot more standardized. For us, they follow more processes. For Rhenus itself, Rhenus has always been catering to the SME market. It has been our backbone. Until very recently, we were a very decentralized company where each market basically took care of their local market. So
only in the specific area.
Always linked to overseas trade, because in the end, we are a network company, but especially the customer contact, the sales approach, and the knowledge of the local market was always local. So I think that if you look into what would a company like you mean to us, I think for us it would be that we want partnerships in the end. We don't want to be providers. We don't want to be exchanged every second week because you send an email out to 50 companies and you go for the cheapest price. If you look at the customers we have today, and I'm very proud of this, we have been serving most of our customers for a very long time because we see eye to eye. And we basically work together to improve logistics services and logistics offerings. Another good example is that many small businesses over time with us have grown significantly. They were very successful over time. And then, of course, what happens is that a small company becomes a medium company. And then in some cases, even becomes a very large company. And it's really great to be part of this success story as well and to enable this kind of growth. And if you look at the SMEs that we are serving today, if you're, like you said, cosmetics, right?
Yes.
So if you do cosmetics, your shipment usually most likely will have a very high value. It's going to be fragile. It's going to have a very high value. And since you're a small business, you're very dependent on this arriving in time. And to basically to be in one piece, and to know where it is. So because you're going to have customers you want to serve. So I think in the end, the price you pay is basically the opportunity cost. In the end, the cost of a lost shipment or a damaged shipment and the loss of the customers and so on is in no relation to paying $30, $40 more than for another shipment.
True. So what are the three main points for you that are important when it comes to picking a logistic provider?
If I would be choosing a provider now, so I'm on your side, Okay, quality, 100%. Then the second one would be speed, response time, etc. Proactiveness is important, and then price, of course, as well. Because you want to know, like proactiveness could be included in quality, but if there's something wrong with your shipment, you want to know about it. Yeah, and you don't want to find out a week later or 2 weeks later that something went wrong. Of course, if you look into the speed of the service, if you ask me something and I don't reply to you for 2 weeks, you might look for another provider. So being available, I think, is a very big important part in SMEs.
Or maybe if I don't know where my shipment is and I have to ask the chatbot, that's why it's so, so who am I actually talking to, right?
So you should not talk to a chatbot. So for us, I think that is another important part. We want to have single points of contact locally. So if you have to do business, let's say you're in Thailand, I think your example was Korea, but if you would do it in Thailand now, we want your local partner to be somebody in Thailand who is Thai, who understands the local market, and if there's something wrong, that you can speak to directly, and then you have somebody to help you no matter where your shipment is. So I think it's a good peace of mind.
That's true. So speed, quality, and proactiveness.
Yes, and price, of course. I mean, price is playing a major role, of course.
Is it always the first thing that you always get asked for?
No, usually we've been doing a lot of surveys over the last year or so with our SMEs to also understand better what they need. So usually, the biggest part is usually speed and quality. And price, a lot of customers are actually open to even pay more than they would be paying today.
Given the service,
exactly,
the added value service.
Exactly,
right?
like the higher the quality of the service provided, people are willing to pay for it, which makes sense. If you look at a container it has a value of close to 500,000 euro, to save $50 or 50 euro on it, but then get an inferior service makes no sense. You risk way too much for way too little.
And how does Rhenus deliver on that? What makes Rhenus Air Ocean different then?
I think I touched a few of these points already. So I think one big part is that we see this kind of concept of a local hero, global player.
Yes.
So as I just explained in your example, we want to be local and we want people to deal with Rhenus as if it is just a normal local small forwarding company. Same level of service, direct contacts, speed, and build up a relationship over time with Rhenus locally. But then I think the thing where we shine compared to other local companies would be that, of course, we are able to offer a global network and a global suite of products. So if you have something here, you will have somebody who helps you coordinate around the world, and we can guarantee the same level of quality consistently, which is very difficult, I would say, for a lot of other smaller forwarding.
So that's what you meant by single point of contact.
Yeah, exactly.
So coming up to our last question, which I wish we had more time to talk more because this is very interesting. So if SME take away one message from this conversation, what would it be?
I would say that their expectation towards quality should be as high as possible towards their provider. They should not hide behind that arguments that larger customers deserve a better service offering or a better level of quality. They should expect that the same level of quality is provided, if not even more, then because they're less standardized and it has to be more direct service. I would say this is the main message. They should insist on quality because it's your service provider. You want somebody who takes care of your shipments the same way as if they're part of your company. You don't want it to be somebody where it's just a number, and in the end you have to run after this provider the whole time. So I think the expectation of quality is something that every customer should frequently bring up with their service providers.
So by quality, what I get from your point is quality with human touch, quality with the services, and also quality with all the value-added service that Rhenus will provide.
Yeah, basically see it as an extended arm of your logistics department.
Okay. Jan, thank you again for taking the time to join us today and share your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward for our next episode for another interesting topic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for listening. We hope you get a few new insights on where global logistics and SME are heading next. See you in the next episode.